False assumptions. They're the secret or the silent killer of sales. Did you know that? That's what I'm going to be talking about, unpacking today on the Sales Hunter podcast and the Weekly Sales Kickoff. The show begins right now.
You're listening to the Sales Hunter podcast with Mark Hunter, where the focus is to help you as a sales leader sell with confidence and integrity. And now here's your host.
Hey, we're all guilty of making false assumptions. Trust me, we do. I know I do, and I know you do too. Here's a situation. False assumptions take us down a wrong path. And when it takes us down the wrong path, how can we blame the customer for not wanting to buy? Of course, they're not going to want to buy. You see, what happens is we are driven more than ever in false assumptions because we're trying to keep the pipeline full. There are too many of you out there that are scrambling to keep a full pipeline. You're scrambling to get deals in. So you're racing through them. What does that mean? You're taking shortcuts. And this gets us into trouble. One of the biggest shortcuts is using AI. We use AI to gather content for us. But hey, AI is not always factual. If AI can't get the number, it'll make up the number. Hello, excuse me. You see, AI information, your industry knowledge, the expertise that you have, it's all good. But is it what that customer is looking for? This is the key. You see, we have to verify everything. If we are not taking the time to verify, and what do I mean by verify? I mean double checking. Let me share with you a story. And I wrote about this in my book, High Profit Selling. My wife and I were looking for an SUV. My wife was going to be the primary driver of the SUV. We needed it because family was getting bigger. We had a lot more stuff. And we also lived in a cold weather climate, a lot of snow, and thought an SUV would be practical. So we're for an SUV. And the salespeople ask us, well, who's it for? So it's for my wife. Every salesperson immediately jumped on the fact that, oh, this SUV is safer and the four-wheel drive and the positive traction and all those things that make the car safe in snow, this is what you want. That wasn't what my wife was looking for. That wasn't what my wife was looking for. Yeah, we needed an SUV for cold weather and snow, but that really wasn't the primary reason. We just needed a bigger car. And more importantly, my wife had two very important things that she has to have in every car, and that is an unbelievable heated seat and two, amazing sound system. That's it. That's it. If you could deliver on those two things, great sound system and a really good heated seat, she'd buy the car. And yet no salesperson was picking up on that. You see, they continue to run down the path of their bias. You see, assumptions are created because of our bias. Our bias because this is what other customers have wanted. This is what my industry expertise is all about. This is what, and what happens is we dive too deep into believing that we know it all. And what does this do? It creates a false assumption. And in this situation, no salesperson ultimately closed the deal until finally there was one who finally began asking the right questions. You see, this is what's interesting. Every salesperson, and we do this too, you do this, you ask questions, right? But if you ask the wrong question, regardless of the answer you get, it's the wrong information. Let me back that up. Are you asking the wrong questions? You see, what we do is we tend to ask questions that verify our bias. We tend to ask questions that go down our path of expertise, our knowledge. You see, because at the end of the day, what we want to do is we're trying to show the customer how smart we are. Wrong, false, big mistake. What I want you to do is I want you to begin asking questions that are relative to the customer's buying experience. not your historical knowledge. This even supersedes any idea that you might have that, oh, well, I've gone on the customer's website. Oh, I've done this. I've done this. I know this customer really well. You don't until you're talking to the person who's going to make the decision. You see, the company may have these needs, but if that's not the need of what the buyer is, the user, the influencer, the economic decision maker, you don't know. You've got to verify. I always say this. I've got to verify every piece of information 2x. 2x. I've got to hear it minimally twice. Now, does that mean I ask the same question twice? No, I don't ask the same question twice. What I'm doing is I'm asking a question. I'll get into some here in just a second. And then I'm coming back around and asking a similar type of question to find out if that's still the fact, if that's truth. Or I'm asking another person. Now, even if I'm asking another person, I still got to come back around because, like I said earlier, you may have heard that this company needs this, but that's not what the buyer needs. And we get false assumptions. Assumptions get us into trouble. You see, the questions I want to be asking is, what is of the most critical importance to you? Why are we talking today? What are some other solutions that you've looked at? Who else is involved in the decision-making process? What's the risk if we don't solve this issue? What's the gain you're looking for? You see, I'm asking direct questions of the individual. I'm also asking such things as, what is of the utmost importance for you in making this decision? And whatever it is I hear, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna ask them to build on it. I'm gonna get them to share with me more information. This is absolutely critical because when I do that, it's amazing at what you will hear. Because here's a situation. We allow ourselves to go down false paths. And what happens is we go down this false path because we're either racing too fast or we think we know it all. You know, what's interesting is I find a big difference here between veteran salespeople and new salespeople. Thank you, Noah, for jumping in and saying this is great. You're right. We do this every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. I'm in Phoenix, so it's 6 a.m. I'm watching the sun come up right behind the camera here. Hey, here's the situation. Veteran salespeople are the most guilty of assumptive selling. I call this assumptive selling because they've had so much experience. They've been around the horn. They know they've done it. They've seen it. They've seen it all. But that gets them into trouble. I almost always find that new salespeople are the best at not doing assumptive selling because they don't know. They're willing to take the time to ask more questions. And they're also a little more cautious. They're a little more scared to try to race through to the close because they don't want to hear a no. They don't want to hear a no. So what happens is they ask more questions, which, yeah. The way we get around assumptive selling, the way we do not allow false assumptions to sabotage our deals is by doing two things. One, we ask the right questions. Again, asking the wrong questions, whatever answer you hear, it doesn't matter. And two, we verify everything. When we take the time to verify everything, it is amazing what we hear. And how do we verify? We come back. This is why it's so important that the discovery call does not lead directly into the close. When the discovery call leads directly into the close, we get ourselves in trouble. I find that I can be guilty of this because, a lot of what I do is keynote speaking. I speak at conferences, I speak at events, and I'm talking to a potential buyer. And I think I know what they're looking for. And then here's what it would take to have me come in and speak. False assumptions. The best way to verify is over two separate meetings, two separate conversations. Now, sometimes that's not always possible. So what it means is that I've got to be able to come back around and word that question just a little bit differently. Go back to that showroom dealer that I was in. If that salesperson and multiple salespeople, multiple dealerships we were in, because we were looking at kind of 3 different cars, if they had taken the time to drive down in their question, it's amazing at what we might have been able to hear. You see, what's your nuclear option? This is what a question is coming in on. What's my nuclear option? I love asking tough questions, because here's the whole situation. When you ask tough questions, it's amazing at how much more information. Don't be shy about asking. Who are the other people you've been talking to? Why did you not find their solution accurate? Why did you not find their solution good? What's of the most critical importance to you? You've got to be able to ask questions like this. Hey, great comments coming in. Don't have time to get them all up on the screen. Very much appreciated. I'll answer it, all the notes here. You've been listening to the Sales Hunter podcast. My name is Mark Hunter. This is the Weekly Sales Kickoff. Comes to you every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, live on your media platform. Do me a favor, would you? Leave me a review on your favorite podcast. And make sure you're subscribing to the show. Make sure you catch up the second show every week, where I do a deep dive interview with a subject matter expert. I'm Mark. I'm the Sales Hunter. Great selling.